Jasmine here with another Biggest Losers of the Bible, and lately we've been hearing a lot about Israel. And some of the knuckleheaded choices that they've been making.
When Israel was founded in 1948, 700,000 Palestinians had fled or been forced out. The result was that the new state had a Jewish majority. To maintain that majority, Israel has never allowed the refugees to return. The Palestinians who remained were given Israeli citizenship, although they were kept under strict military rule for 19 years. But in 1967, when Israel occupied more lands, including Gaza, the West Bank, and East Jerusalem, it faced a problem. It wanted the land, but didn't want the Palestinians on that land. So it's refused to extend citizenship to the rest of the Palestinians under its control, while keeping them under military rule ever since. To further control the ratio of Palestinians to Israeli Jews, Israel still bans Palestinian refugees and their descendants from moving into any of the territories it controls, while encouraging any Jewish person anywhere in the world to immigrate to Israel, even if they've never set foot there before. In Jerusalem, the Israeli authorities actually have a population target: 60% Jews to 40% Palestinians. Palestinians in Jerusalem are only granted a permanent residency permit, even if they've been living in the city since before Israel was founded. So while Palestinians are granted different rights based on their IDs, nowhere do those rights match those of Israeli Jews.
Unfortunately, that's nothing new. We see all throughout the Bible that Israel does some things that the Lord really shakes his head and is like, what in the world is going on with my kids? Today, we are going to revisit that whole marriage idea that we've explored in weeks past and explore one of the minor prophets. We have seen that weddings and marriage in the Bible are a reflection of the way God commits to his people, whether that be Israel or the church. And this particular gentleman had a very different way that he had to explore this very concept of the Lord's commitment to his people. So, without further ado, let's get into today's Biggest Loser of the Bible.
Jesus referred to himself as the bridegroom, and he referred to his church as the bride. Now, a betrothal is a promise to wed. It's a promise to get married. So the actual wedding ceremony has not yet taken place. You're not truly married, and you don't get to enjoy the benefits of marriage, such as living together, and enjoying each other's companionship, that sort of thing. But instead, it's a betrothal, it's a promise to wed. But this betrothal is taken more seriously than even a prenuptial agreement or an actual betrothal. You are considered married even though you don't enjoy the benefits of actual marriage.
The first minor prophet is Hosea. He prophesied at the same time as Isaiah and Micah, but his assignment was not great. Isaiah got to see the throne room of God. Ezekiel got to see dry bones come to life. Daniel could interpret dreams. Jonah saw thousands give their lives to God. Zechariah saw visions of a flying scroll, olive trees, and women with wings. Hosea got to marry a prostitute and have kids. Chapter 1, verse 2 says, God says, "Go take for yourself a wife of whoredom and have children of whoredom, for the land commits great whoredom by forsaking the Lord." Sets the tone. God's saying, I have something I want you to communicate, but I don't want you to use words only. I want you to use your choice of wife and even the names of your kids. They have 3 kids. First one's a boy. They name him Jezreel, meaning judgment is coming. The second one's a girl, and they name her No Mercy. Third one's a boy, and they name him Not My People. God says in chapter 1, verse 9, "Call his name Not My People, for you aren't my people, and I am not your God." The message of Hosea, we rebel, God restores. The restoration comes later. In chapter 2, Hosea's wife returns to her previous life of prostitution. She goes back to all the men she was with before. She keeps getting gifts. She goes out by night to sin and returns in the morning to find wine. She goes out by night to sin and betray Hosea, but she comes back home and finds a gift, grain. She goes out at night to run from Hosea, but she comes home and finds a gift, oil, silver, and gold. Hosea builds up thorns along the paths that she takes, a picture of trying to stop her running away. The gifts are from Hosea. He's just hoping that she will come back. She takes the gifts that he offered and offers them to Baal, the enemy of God. She didn't even know that the person who gave her the gifts was Hosea. What does God do to the one who has returned to their sin time and time again? The same sin, God returns to them. A person would get a divorce in this situation. God shows mercy. Verse 14 says, "Therefore, behold, I will allure her and bring her into the wilderness and speak tenderly to her." Verse 19, "And I will betroth you to me forever. I'll betroth you to me in righteousness and in justice, in steadfast love and in mercy." Who would get engaged to a person who cheats on them? Then God responds to the children, "And I will have mercy on no mercy. And I will say to not my people, you are my people. And he shall say, you're my God." Mercy, restoration in the face of rebellion. That's our God. After 1,000 years of idolatry, he's still chasing, still loving his people, still commanding his prophets to express and show that restoration. That's the message of Hosea. Condemnation of Israel's idolatry, Israel's pride, their unrepentance, their coming punishment from the Lord. In chapter 9, as if it wasn't already clear enough, God makes sure they know what the picture of the book means. He says this, "Rejoice not, O Israel, exult not like the peoples." God tells them that they are the woman that Hosea married. When Israel was a child, I loved him, and out of Egypt I called my son, which is another Jesus moment. This verse is quoted in Matthew 2:15 as referring to Jesus Christ, whose parents took him out of Egypt out of fear of Herod. There's another one in 13:14, but Jesus abounds in this book. More convictions and judgments follow. The book ends with a tearful plea to return to the Lord. Like almost all of the minor prophets, the message here is for the people of Israel to return to the Lord for restoration from rebellion. Hosea was ignored, though. The saddest part of the story is the Israelites didn't listen. What he warned them about were the reasons they were sent into exile in 2 Kings. To end the book, God shows his impossible, ridiculous compassion. He says, "I will heal their apostasy. I will love them freely." Then he says, "I will be like the dew to Israel." The impossible, never-ending compassion of God to his people. After they forsake him again and again and again, he restores.
All right, that's all I've got for this week. I hope you enjoyed that message, and we'll see where it takes us next time. Bye, guys.